and hello to all of my new subscribers. I've nearly got 40 of you here, which is really, really weird. I am so rubbish at filming YouTube videos. I said that I was going to be better this year. I've just really lost the motivation over the last month or so in recording content. I think it's because I struggled to come up with ideas and things like that. So I've not been here for a while, but I am trying to get better, so I do apologize. But I thought my first video that I've not done, well, my first video for a while, I would do a bit of a reading update as to the books that I've read over the last couple of months, especially for February and March. I've been very, very lucky to have read some really fantastic ARCs and early release copies. I got my first ever proof copy of a book last month as well. So I'm going to update you all and give you kind of quick reviews on each of the books as well and how I found them. In February, I only read 2 books. So I am very much somebody that will have like a really good month of reading. Like I'll read 4, 5, 6 books. And then the month after, I kind of drop off a little bit and only read a couple. And then I'll have like a big month again and a little month, like, so inconsistent, but I don't know. I'm 100% a mood reader, and I think that's where it comes from. However, I read 2 books in February. I'm going to give myself some credit. The 2 books that I read, the first one was over 600 pages, and the second book was about 1,100 pages. So if we think about books on average that are like between, 300, 400 pages, I technically read 4. In just the 2 books because of how long they were. Just apologise, I'm in my dressing gown because I'm actually really cold. Even though it's like really nice outside, I'm chilly in my house. That's what you get for living in an older house. But let's get to it. We'll start with Quicksilver. So Quicksilver was the first book that I read in February. I'm very late to the party, I know. I've been putting it off for absolutely ages, don't know why. I've still not read like Powerless, and things like that. I've had the books, I've had the copies for ages, just not read them. And I think I'm a bit scared about that. They're not going to meet the expectations that I thought they would. And Quicksilver was one of those, which I was really surprised with. I am your typical romantasy. Give me all the fantasy, give me the romance, give me the spice, give me the shadow daddies. That is completely up my street. But I really struggled to get into Quicksilver, especially the first 50%. Like I think it took me a week to get through the first half of the book. Really wasn't into it. I don't know why. It really annoyed me with how whiny the female characters were in there. They were all very like bitchy, moany, and it really grated on me. And I hated, it gave me the ick, like the animalistic side of the male phase as well. Like I wasn't vibing. I wasn't vibing, guys, with it. But as soon as I hit that 50% mark and the relationship between Cirrus and Kingfisher started to blossom, I ate that last 50% up. I literally devoured it. I read it in 2 days. So like mood reader, I have to be hooked to read a book quickly. But I read that second half so quick and I really enjoyed it, and it has me really highly anticipating book 2 as well. So whiplash, I got complete whiplash from Quicksilver. But that was my first read of February. I think I gave it 4 stars, 4.5 stars, just because of that first 50%. But we got there in the end. We got that, and I'm looking forward. I've pre-ordered the 2 new special editions of Quicksilver and Brimstone, so I enjoyed it. We love a book trophy, as you can tell. I then read Zodiac Academy, Restless Stars, which is book 8. It's the last book in the main series of Zodiac Academy. I haven't read all the novellas and stuff because, quite frankly, it has taken me 2.5 years to get through the actual Zodiac Academy series. And that's purely just because of how big the books are, how many character point of views there is in there. And after finishing 1 or 2 of the books, I felt that I needed to take a break. Like I was emotionally drained. I was overwhelmed from the amount that went on in the books. But we got to the end, guys. We finished Restless Stars. It was 1,100 pages long. 1,100 pages. but it was 1,100 pages of pure fun action romance. I have never read a final book of a series that was so beautifully written and ended a series so well like this book did. It was the perfect ending to Zodiac Academy. And honestly, it was a long book, but there was never a part in that story where I felt it wasn't needed. It was jam-packed, and every single thing that happened needed to be in that final book. And it was an incredible finish to the series. So if you're thinking about reading Zodiac Academy, I definitely recommend doing it. If it's like me, it's taken me 2 years, but I'm really glad that I took my time with it because I was able to enjoy it. I was able to process what happened, take it in, and I'm really glad that I saw it through to the end because the last book was probably one of my favourite books in the whole series. That last book, 5 stars, like perfection. I then read The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I picked this book up from TK Maxx. I've been wanting to read it for a while and then I saw it, £3.60. And the size of it, I don't know why, but that's like a typical UK paperback size. It's loads bigger. I'm not quite sure why. It's not like a weird proof. It's bigger. But yeah, like I said, every time I read kind of like a heavy fantasy, I tend to dip back into romance because I find that they're a lot lighter reads and easier on the brains, and it stops me from going into a reading slump. And it's one of the strategies that I use with reading to make sure that I am continuing to be able to read, because I don't want to go in a reading slump. Reading is something that I do in my own time. Being autistic, reading is something that helps me to regulate and calm at the end of the day, and I don't want to lose that. So I have to be really careful with what I choose to read, listen to my mood and what my brain wants at the minute. And if I've read something very heavy, I'll go back into like a really easy, light romance read, which The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary absolutely is. I think I gave this, again, I can't remember, 4.5 stars. I have to check on my Goodreads, but I can't remember. But really good read. It's romance, it's light-hearted, it's humorous, it's dual POV of the female main character, Tiffy, and the male main character, Leon. Really beautifully written. I like how I know it's very fictional, like it is something that absolutely wouldn't happen in real life, but I mean, it's a fiction book. That's what you're gonna get. But it completely reminded me of like a 90s rom-com film. Very much gave me those vibes, which I absolutely loved and really, really enjoyed it. I did struggle at first because the 2 point of views of the characters are written very differently. And I struggled to get into how Leon's point of view was written, but I understand it now because I've never seen it in a book before, but you really feel like you get to know the characters because of the difference in writing styles between them. And by the end of it, I was very appreciative of how clever of Beth O'Leary to do that in the story, but it did take me a while to get into the book, which is why it lost the half star or the full star. I think it was 4.5 stars I gave it. Anyway, but yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. Really great romance, and it covers some sensitive topics in here as well, but it's really, really well written, and very sensitively and respectfully written as well. Kind of how it's intertwined into the storyline as well. So really, really great read, Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I then read Wildside by Elsie Silver, book 3 in the Rose Hill series. Devoured this book. I read this book in 2 days, and that is the quickest I have ever read a book. Miss Elsie Silver knows how to capture and engage her audience, because I lapped this up. I always go into these books worrying because like Tabby and Reese and Wild Eyes, I only saw them a bit, but I was a bit like, oh, like, don't like, but and then when you start to get to know them as characters, your whole opinion of them changes. And that's what I love about Elsie and how she can do that for you as readers. So this follows Tabby and Reese's points of views and their story in how they got together. It is marriage of convenience, but there's lots of family drama in there. There's romance. It's amazing. It's an Elsie Silver book, and if you love Elsie Silver, you will love this book. The only part that I felt was potentially going to put me off was the wrestling storyline for Reese's side, but I actually loved it. Like, I was so surprised. I loved it and really enjoyed it, and I just loved Tabby and Reese as a couple, like, and it was so lovely. And I gave this like 5-6 stars, infinity stars, because it was just perfection. Can't say anything else really. And now on to ARC. So in March, I read, my first ARC was The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy. This is the first time I've ever read an Elle Kennedy book, and let me tell you now, I am a new Elle Kennedy fan. This book is open door, steamy, and I mean steamy, romance. It is, there's 3 points of views, female main character, which is Charlie, and then the two male main characters, Will and Beckett, who are best friends. Yeah, it's MFM romance. It's steamy. But I loved it. It made me question myself, but I absolutely loved it. And like, not only that, sometimes with these types of books, the spice and the steaminess and the romance takes away and can be quite heavy. However, Elle Kennedy has balanced those aspects to this story beautifully with the actual storyline and the character development behind them. We follow 3 characters that all have their own individual issues, concerns, problems, which are all so sensitively and beautifully written by Elle, intertwined with how these 3 characters have found each other and learnt about themselves through each other. And it's just such a beautiful book and really represents the beauty of relationships and how they can be so good for the heart and soul for when you are going through kind of really hard times in life. So although this is like open door steamy romance, MFM romance, it's beautiful. It is amazing. I absolutely loved it. The first chapter as well was very much giving me like Legally Blonde vibes with like the sorority houses, which I absolutely loved. I love Legally Blonde, the film. So yeah, I gave this, pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. Pretty sure I did. It was very highly rated, pretty sure it was 5 stars. I'm really rubbish with remembering ratings. I do have Goodreads if you want to follow my Goodreads. It's all on there. But no, absolutely loved it. If you love romance, if you don't mind spice or you love spice, read Elle Kennedy's book or read The Charlie Method because it's beautiful. It's amazing. I really loved it. I then was very lucky to be accepted to read The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, which has been so highly spoken about over on socials. It was everywhere. And that's the reason why I went away onto NetGalley and requested it, because I was intrigued. Okay, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was saying how amazing it was. So we went for it. We had a go. I know it's very much based on like the Dramoni fanfic side of like Harry Potter. That's where the inspiration comes from for the story. And I loved it. It's a very light fantasy read, not what I expected in this book. I also thought it was a standalone, but it's actually book 1 of a series because of the ending is very much like a cliffhanger, which I didn't know. If you are somebody just wanting to start to get into fantasy and you love the romance aspect to fantasy as well, or you want a light fantasy read, this book is for you because there's not a lot of storyline. I enjoyed the storyline and the plot, but it's not heavy. There's not a lot going on in it. I enjoyed the journey of the 2 characters that you follow. And it is like your true enemies to lover. Because in this story, these are truly enemies to lovers. These are truly enemies in the start where they despise each other because of who they both are, how they've both been brought up. They have been taught to hate each other, despise each other. But it really truly shows that even though you see the bad side in people, you can still learn to love them. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the story and why it is so heavy on focusing on the relationship development between these 2 characters. So yeah, it was completely not what I expected, which is why I gave it like the 4 stars. But really fantastic read, and I am really looking forward to book 2. Like I want to know how it ends. It finished on such like a cliffhanger. I was like, I didn't think it was going to finish like this. I thought it was like a standalone book. I'd know what happened. So yeah, and I think it's out in June, July time. But definitely, yeah, give it a read. And then my final book. My final book, I was super lucky to have been sent a PR package with an early copy release of Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. She's tabbed, she's read, she's ready to be spoken about. Now, Phantasma, which is book 1 in the series, I read in January. Absolutely insane. I loved that book so much. So much so, it is still my top read of 2025 so far, even on top of like Onyx Dawn and stuff. It's my top read. So this book became a very highly anticipated release. So when I was sent an early copy, I straight away had to put it on my TBR for that month and get it read. Now, I don't know whether it's just because I had such high expectations, and maybe that's my own fault. I didn't love this as much as Phantasma. It really didn't hook me in as much as Phantasma did. I rated this 3.75 stars. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not bad. I enjoyed this book. But because I am comparing it to book 1 and how amazing book 1 was, I was very much expecting it to at least meet the standards of book 1, and for me it didn't. It does have trials. They're very similar trials to Phantasma, but obviously they have their own differences. There's that dark element that it's all to do with a family. The place is called Enchantra, quite similar vibes though to Phantasma. And I enjoyed those aspects. I think the trials are very creatively written and imaginative. I could never imagine any of those up as well. We follow Genevieve, who is the sister to Ophelia, but this story is in the POV of Genevieve, and she's still very much trying to find out about her mum. So in book 1, if you don't know, there's a little bit of a spoiler, but mum dies and they don't quite know what happened. So the books follow the journey of them finding this out. So we continue, it follows on from Phantasma, following Genevieve, and she goes to Enchantra and meets his family. It's marriage of convenience, it's enemies to lover. I did enjoy the romance. I love the new characters in there as well. Rowan is amazing. Seven is an absolutely fantastic side character. Fell in love with him as well. And it's set up perfectly for book 3, a potential book 3 too. Like, it finishes on such a fantastic high that really has me anticipating book 3. But the book is really fast paced. I felt like that it was just very rushed, the events that happened. Like, you kind of suspense and then it happened, and like there wasn't, it's really hard to explain. It's just something not quite right there. Rowan is also like he's a shadow wraith as well, so it's another shadow daddy, which don't get me wrong, I love a shadow daddy, but they're not original anymore. I feel like they're getting very overused in books. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. I would absolutely recommend anybody to read it. If you read Phantasma, you loved it, definitely read book 2. I think it's set up perfectly for a potential book 3, which I'm really looking forward to. I did enjoy it, but for me, it didn't meet those expectations that I was expecting following from Phantasma. Yeah, that was my final book. So really successful 3 months of reading that I had. Really enjoyed the books that I read. Very lucky to have been given lots of fantastic arcs and early release copies too. And I'll give you an update with what I get up to in April as well, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's any types of videos that you really enjoy that you would like me to record and film. Give me some ideas to make sure that I am posting on here a lot more often. If you could set a comment, subscribe, that would be fantastic, guys, because it supports getting my YouTube channel out there. I am also over on Bookstagram and BookTok. as Bookishly Coffee Life. So go give me a follow and see what I'm up to over there. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.